What's going on, everyone? My name is Sherwin, and we are in the Plaid Studios today. And in this video, we're gonna go talk about FSD. Now, we got FSD for 90 days for free, and how we got that is when we bought the Model X back in October. Tesla was running a promotion where if you refer someone, so I referred Abby, you get $1,000 off, and you also get 3 months of full self-driving. Now, that referral purchase wasn't really a referral because we were both already a Tesla owner, so it ended up being a loyalty purchase. So we got all those promotions, but I didn't get my 10,000 points. But it's all good. So in this video, I just wanted to discuss what I've been experiencing with full self-driving for the last 90 days. Also, please do consider that there's different hardware combinations. I talked about it in the holiday update video, so if you haven't checked that out, please check it out. But basically, this Model X was built October 2023, so the hardware combination would be hardware 4 and also Tesla Vision. So I arrived at the charging station, and two things threw me off already while I was trying to figure out what I'm going to say in this video. But I do have notes, and I finally saw a Cybertruck in person, and it was leaving. And then a Model X Ultra Red, as you can see in the background, parked next to me, and I want to take a picture because I've kind of forgotten how the Ultra Red looks like prior to our PPF. But anyway, all right, let's get started. Sorry. So I wanted to also share a couple of considerations before beginning. So the first thing is, we got it for 3 months, the free FSD, but I did not use it all the time for many reasons. One of them is just it kept disengaging, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. The next thing is, my opinions and experiences will probably be different from yours simply because I live in a different area, my routes are different, weather, the time of me driving and using FSD, all those things. So please consider that as well. Whether it's positive or negative, do not think that that's going to happen to you as well. Also consider that the AI that's part of FSD may decide differently according to the situation. So it's a case-by-case thing. Next, what I wanted to mention is I did not capture any of the footage. I tried to as much as possible, but while using FSD is just part of my normal driving route, so it's just way too much for me to set up cameras. I just don't have time. Plus, the Model X Plaid is not my daily car, so I don't want to set all that up and capture all that. But I'm going to try to be as descriptive. I did take some pictures. I did capture some video, so I'll share that with you on each bullet point. But we did take delivery of this car October 29th, 2023. I don't recall what the software version is, but I think it was 2023.32.9 with FSD 11.4.4. And at the time of this recording, we are at 2023.44.30.8 and FSD version 11.4.9. So not V12 yet. So FSD is really a very interesting technology. It's very impressive in what it can do. And for the most part, it's good. I'm not going to say great. I'm going to say it's good. But here are some of the things that I've experienced and I've observed. So here's the first thing. What I like to do is I increase the speed to about 12% while on FSD because it will follow the speed limit to the T. It doesn't really consider, like everyday traffic or flow of traffic. It doesn't consider that. So unless I think on the freeway or highways, it's default at 70. And even then, in California, when there is no traffic, 70 is way too slow. And on the streets, it will go by the speed limit. So I like to increase it up to about 12%. But when you do, it really does go up 12%. It doesn't take into consideration or take into account what your surrounding environment is. So it's always going to bump it up to 12%. So it's not like a natural driving habit. Now, there have been reports of someone saying that in V12 that this is going to change. It's going to act more human-like, where it knows the speed limit, but if the surrounding area permits it or allows it, then it may increase the speed limit just a tad bit, a safe higher speed. So, but that's what I normally have to do, is set the speed limit up to about 12% increase. Now, the next thing that's kind of weird is from stop signs and red lights turning green, it just accelerates. It doesn't do it all the time, but it does it a lot. Like to a point where your head kind of moves back a little bit. So it's like an unnatural, unnecessary acceleration from like stop signs and stoplights. Again, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens often enough that I do like realize it. The next one is having to do with also stop signs, two ways and four ways, and you're turning left. So it's creeping and ensuring that vehicles are not gonna hit you, or just it's just making sure that it's safe. But it's the motion of the car, like what it's doing is again not natural. And if there's cars behind you or cars like waiting for you to take the turn, they're gonna get upset. There's a lot of crazy drivers out there now, and what I always worry about is road rage. And so sometimes, maybe a lot of times, I'm not gonna say all the time, but it's not a natural left turn at stop signs. So just be aware of that. And if there's other cars around you, it's just kind of like, man, what is this car doing? So just I wanted to share that. Okay, so the next one happened on the way to Las Vegas, one of our more recent trips at night. There was construction on the highway, and at night, when you have construction, there's like spotlights, shining light so that workers can continue to work. And at one time, we drove by a construction area on the highway, and it like dramatically slowed down. So what I think happened is the cameras detected that spotlight and translated it as a car, an oncoming vehicle headlights, and it slowed down. And it's like, wait, what am I supposed to do? I'm not anticipating a car to be in that lane. Like we're traveling in the same direction. So I didn't think it knew what to do. So I had to disengage and take over, because or else we would have got rear-ended. And I think in the previous Vegas video, I had mentioned it, that happened. So just be careful if that were to happen. Like if you're driving at night and there's construction with a spotlight, it may think it's a headlight, and it may slow down like dramatically, like really hard. All right, so this next one, I'm going to try to describe it as how I understand it. And I could be wrong with my assumptions or my understanding, but when you have navigation enabled and you're driving to a destination, and you go to a different route, so they have alternate routes that will engage or trigger when you are no longer in the course that it tells you to use. We don't have FSD yet. Well, we don't have FSD enabled. And so when you, instead of going straight, you make a left, for whatever reason, it's going to recalculate, making it an alternate route. And so I would have assumed that the car's computer would remember that. And when you have FSD enabled and you're going in that same destination, that it knows, depending on traffic condition, because alternate routes, they trigger automatically if it thinks you could save more than 10 minutes by going and using a different direction. I think it's 10 minutes. And so maybe that's the reason why it doesn't work as I thought it would. So I'll give you an example. When I take my son to school, I drop him off at school, and then I go charge. Well, the route that it wants to take is the direct route. That's like the primary route. And so the primary route is what everyone takes, and it's very traffic. there's a different route that you go across the street and you go through residential area that hardly anyone takes, and that's the route I usually take. And I would think that it would remember me taking that because I have navigation turned on, so I can precondition the battery on the way to the supercharger. And I always take that route. But if I have FSD enabled, it's always going to take that primary route that's traffic. And the only way to not take it is to disengage autopilot or disengage FSD, turn into that street so that the alternate route gets triggered or enabled, and then turn FSD back on, and then it's going to continue on its path. So I hope that made sense. But I hope in the future that they would improve the software to remember alternate routes taken. Another example would be if you're driving into a plaza with different driveways or entrances into the plaza, you may want to take a different route, an alternate route, because again, it's less crowded or less traffic. It's not gonna pick that because it's gonna pick the direct route, that primary route. So again, disengage and then start heading in a different direction, and then re-engage FSD, and then it will go into that other route that I've always taken in the past. Okay, so I had to move out of the charging station because I was done charging. So I had to move the car real quick because the supercharging has completed and I want to just move out the way. Okay, so back to the next one is while Abby is sleeping. This is a dangerous one. When Abby is sleeping, she wakes up and knows we're on FSD because it's not driving. Like, if it's a straight way, then yeah, she's not gonna feel it. But when there's curves and turns, she can tell, and she wakes up and she starts yelling like, "Why are you playing with that thing? Why are you playing with that thing? Turn it off, turn it off." So she gets upset. So it can be a dangerous thing if your wife does not like FSD. But yeah, so be aware of that. Be aware. All right, the next one is it will not slow down for dips. I have footage that I've shared, but I cut off, and I've already given the spoiler alert, but check out this clip. Oh! So in that clip, I've put arrows on signs on the road and on the like a street sign, and you would think the cameras are able to read those things because it could read other things like stop signs because it displays it on the screen. Now I know it has GPS data that tells them like, okay, expect a stop sign here, expect a stoplight here, and it just falls back into Tesla Vision or the cameras just in case it's a newly added stoplight or stop sign to actually stop. Again, I'm not an expert at FSD or AI or anything like that, but I'm in software development, and one can assume that that's how it works. It uses GPS data that it tells them that expect a stop sign there or a stoplight or some kind of whatever. And then it falls back to the onboard camera system and the AI, where it's like, well, it's a red octagon shape and it looks like STOP, so I would consider it a stop sign. So you would think with that, it would read DIP for dip. Maybe the GPS data is not there, that it's gonna at least slow down and like, well, there's a sign there. I don't know what it means, but maybe I should slow down. It didn't. So it maintained my speed. The speed limit was 45 and I was doing 50 because again, I have raised my speed limit during FSD or while FSD to 12%. So it goes up a little bit. So again, it's one of those things. It's one of those things that maybe they would have adjusted it all this time, but it's still there. And then finally, part of the 2023 holiday update, they enabled the interior camera that's above your rear view mirror to be part of when you engage autopilot, enhanced autopilot, or FSD. So from what I heard, even autopilot has these cameras uh, enabled, and it's watching you and checking to see if you're paying attention. But it's super sensitive, and I mentioned this in the holiday update video. It actually kicks me off of FSD after 2 warnings. And those things I was able to do before. And you may ask, like, what is it? Well, on the way to work, I have breakfast a little bit, and it's safely, safely. So I don't want to damage my car. So you know how I am with my cars and just stuff that I own. I'm very careful because I just don't. I know how much it took to get that item, and so I want to be very careful with it. And so I'm pretty safe when it comes to driving, and now it warns me that, you know, things that I was able to do before, it's not allowed anymore. And I think it's even more dangerous now because it kicks me off of autopilot or FSD while I'm doing it. 2 warnings, and it disengages autopilot. I could have sworn it was 5, and then it kicks me off and gives me 1 warning. So that's already 1 warning after 2 notifications. So I'm getting different experiences than what I've seen online. And whenever I check like my radio or just see what song is playing, it tells me like, hey, pay attention, knucklehead. So it's very sensitive. So just be aware of that. And if you have the holiday update installed and you don't have FSD, just turn on autopilot, and it's usually it's gonna do it. It's gonna do it. It's pretty sensitive. Even in my Model Y with hardware 3, it's pretty sensitive. So let me know if that sensitivity is matching with my experience, and let me know if you have hardware 3 or hardware 4. But from my experience, it's pretty similar between hardware 3 and hardware 4 of how sensitive that camera can be. Now, I've been seeing some information online from Dirty Tesla. So if you don't watch his videos, go check it out. And I'll have a link in the description below of one in particular where he made some very good points. And also Dave Lee, he discusses about V12 and possibilities of what V12 may bring and how Tesla is approaching the development of that version. I think they're taking a different approach. Again, I'm not an expert at it, and so I was kind of lost with some of his descriptions and things. But it's very interesting, and I also have the link in the description below. So V12 may be written differently. V12 may have a lot more improvements. It's a full number version. Usually those will have a lot of updates to the system. But if you were to ask what my opinion is with FSD, again, I think it's a great piece of technology. No other car company is close to what FSD can do. That could be a good thing, and that could be a bad thing, because again, we want options. As consumers, I think we need options, and whether or not we could install those softwares, like other people's software, into Tesla or vice versa, that's not the case. But I think it pushes competition, and so it may push and drive Tesla even more to do better. It's not that they're not doing good or they're not doing better, but I think it even further puts them in a different level if competition gets close. So FSD, I think is great, but the thing that I don't like is the price and the label beta, and they have to put beta in there because it's not fully working yet. And if you were to look at the software world, whenever you have the ability to try out beta, for the most part it's free, because what you're returning to that company is you're supposed to at least report to them you know, what bugs and stuff you're experiencing. And every time the FSD disengages, there's a little button with a microphone that says, hey, give us a report, or, you know, send us a report. And I always submit reports, and so giving them feedback on what may have occurred and stuff. And so I don't know if it's fair. Is fair a good word? For a piece of software to charge people $12,000 for software that is considered beta, that may be taken advantage of and used incorrectly. And I think that's another reason why some of the things were put in place, is because maybe people were using it incorrectly or taking advantage of it. And one of that is that interior cabin camera. I mean, man, I think that was turned on from pressure from the NHTS something, those people, and video coming out of people just being irresponsible while using FSD. So that had to be turned on. But again, the Dirty Tesla video has he has a pretty good opinions about it. It's like, it's kind of like, why punish everybody when there's a small group of people, you know, just ruining it. And also, like, the driver should be at fault at all times, because there's always a warning. And when you engage autopilot, enhanced autopilot, and FSD, there's always a warning. And when you use it, you agree to the consequences of what it may bring. So it should always be the driver's fault, the owner of the car. So you may disagree with me, and that's fine. But it just sucks, because a lot of the stuff that's been added is kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Our FSD trial is gonna be expiring in a few days, and probably by the time you watch this video, it's already expired. We're not going to pay for it or go into the monthly subscription, because it just disengages. Again, it may not happen to you, but in the places that I drive, there's many obstacles or just road conditions that FSD is unable to handle. And if it does handle it, it handles it incorrectly, resulting in disengaging of FSD. So I look at it as, why pay $12,000 or $200 a month for a software that I have to disengage, or it disengages frequently. I can't use it. I can't use it. So not to say that you can't use it, but I'm just offering my opinion and experiences, and just like, hey, watch out for these things. If you are in the market or considering it. So hopefully this video gives you enough examples, enough occurrences to help you with your decision. But if you were to ask me if you should buy FSD, my opinion, I'm going to say no, especially if you are purchasing a car that has hardware 4 and Tesla Vision. Because again, we're back to the price of $12,000. And at the time of this recording, you're not getting two things. You're not getting the park assist, and you're not getting the summon feature. And you're paying for that. You're paying for that. So if you don't mind waiting for it, it may be enabled soon. It may be enabled later on. But if you don't mind paying for something where you don't have access to it, then, and if you have 12,000 to spend, or an additional 200 a month to spend, then why not? I think it's a great piece of software that many people should check out. But the other thing to consider when you're selling your vehicle, I really doubt they're gonna take into factor that you have FSD installed. Yeah, and if they are, you're probably taking like a 90% value hit on that thing, because it just doesn't seem like they consider it. When I sold my Model 3 long range, I had FSD on there, and it didn't feel or seem like they took it into consideration. And I sold it back to Tesla. So here's another point of view. FSD is $12,000 or $200 a month. If you don't intend to keep the car for more than 5 years, you're probably better off paying the monthly $200. So at this state of what FSD can bring, in my opinion, I wouldn't go for it. Now there is enhanced autopilot for half the price at $6,000. It's pretty much autopilot, but when you're on the highway, it does the lane changing, and you also have the summon and park assist feature. But again, if you have hardware 4 with Tesla Vision, that you're not going to have that. So is the enhanced autopilot worth it? I don't know. I mean, if you like the auto lane changing on the highway, then I guess that's, but in my Model Y, I just have regular autopilot, and when I do use it, I mean, yeah, it's kind of an inconvenience that if I have to change lane, it disengages, but it's not $6,000 worth it to me, or $100 a month. What if Tesla offered FSD for free for consumers who purchased the highest trim of each model? Like the Model 3 and the Model Y have the performance trim, and the Model S and the Model X has the Plaid trim, and the Cybertruck has the Cyberbeast trim. What if Tesla's just like, okay, well, part of that package, because you went at the highest trim, we give you FSD for free? Would that change my mind about taking it? Well, yes, because it's free, but it won't change my experiences. I think FSD will still behave the same way in my area, but at least it's for free. So it would be great if Tesla actually thought of that, and just like, that's another value that people would get purchasing the higher trim of the vehicle. And you're probably like, well, that's easy for you to say because you have a Y Performance and an X Plaid. I'm like, yeah, it's easy for me to say, but think about it though, like, it would probably even make more people buy the higher trim because FSD is included, or at least enhanced autopilot. At least that. I don't know. What do y'all think? Is that a good idea? Would you go up the next level, or go to the highest trim level because they offered FSD for free? I think that would be a great idea, and it would be interesting if many of you who have standard range or long range would consider going up to the performance or Plaid because it came with FSD for free. If you have any other ideas on how they can improve FSD, please do share in the comments below. If you haven't checked out the zombie screen on the Model X video, please go check that out. If you liked the video, please like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.